Welcome everybody to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show coming to you live from Conscious Evolution Media. I am your host, Coach Steve Toth, and I have also founded Conscious Evolution Media a little bit over 10 years ago. And this show is actually streaming on YouTube Live, as well as Google Hangouts and ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. And I have a very interesting, very intriguing, and exciting guest to introduce to everybody this evening. And her name is Kim Castle. And she's a TV host, she's a keynote speaker, a spokesperson, and an author, and who knows what else that we're going to find out in this short and brief hour, which is going to go very, very fast. So Kim, welcome to the show from California.
It's a joy to join you, Steve.
Yes, ditto. And like we said, this is going to be a dance. So, Kim, if I took away all these titles, TV host, keynote speaker, spokesperson, author, maybe a friend, a partner, and the list goes on and on. If I took them all away, what's left? Who is really Kim Castle?
I'm a recovering type A overdriving woman.
Okay, well, thank you for being so honest and being so straight. So, tell us your story a little bit, so the viewers can relate to you fairly easily. What's the story of Kim Castle?
Sure, I'd say all my life I was actually born feeling like I got to get somewhere. I actually was born a couple months premature, and like I gotta go. And I think from an early age, I was one of those overachievers. I had really bad asthma as a child and hated feeling sick, so I became a swimmer, and I would hold my breath for really long periods of time under the water as a synchronized swimmer. And in a year, I cured myself of asthma, and I was competing in the Junior Olympics. So I learned at a very early age that I could overcome anything if I pushed past my physical limits. And my entire life I've been doing that. And, you know, fast forward, I've had a career as a stand-up comedian, a TV host, an award-winning art director and creative director, dual careers, always, you know, always basically getting there, you know, doing everything to get there. And I woke up one day.
Where were you going?
I know, right? There.
Where is there?
And the trouble is, there keeps moving, right?
Yes.
I didn't get that memo. I got the there memo.
It's a list that you never get to the end of.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, you know, like that Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo, do. And one day I couldn't do anymore, and I was depressed. I mean, like seriously depressed. Considered suicide. I'm a normally glass overflowing positive person, and had to get to the bottom of what was going on, and that's really where Kim TV came from.
Like what was missing? What was missing?
Well-being, yeah, really, right? My well-being. You know, I put everything else first, like as a woman typically does. We put everything else first.
A superwoman.
S on my chest.
Yeah.
So I was missing. My well-being. I had forgotten a woman's real role on the planet. And so that's really what I'm on the journey now with Kim TV to share, is what is that, and how does that look, and how do we show up differently?
Yeah, really, what is that? What is the role of a woman on this planet? Because there are a lot of women that are putting their hands up, which I really appreciate and I really love. I'm wishing and I hope that more people would put their hands up like women doing these days.
I would say the real role of a woman, and it's going to sound, you know, Gloria Steinem might not appreciate it, but I would say the real role of a woman is to be happy. Be well and happy. I believe the entire world takes its cue off of women in terms of a state of rightness. That things are calm, things are loving, things are happy. And as women, we don't realize that not only are we rocking the boat, we're the water, we're the everything. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that when we remember a sense of just our happiness comes off of us like a perfume off a flower. And that when we live our lives from that place, the entire world will change.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I really like what you said. And what's coming to me right now is this happens to me all the time as I'm doing these shows, because I'm doing them in the present moment. None of this is scripted like commercial television. But what's coming to me right now is, like, if I started the business tomorrow, I wouldn't start it without a woman being involved. You know why?
Yes. You can tell me your answer.
Well, my answer is because women are blessed with the ability to have children and to bring them to life and through birth, and men don't have that. And to be able to then take the child, birth them, go through pregnancy for 9 months, which is a whole story all by itself, which if I could tell you that I understand, and I do have 3 kids, and I did go through it 3 times as a man, but that doesn't count because I don't have the experience of what it's like as a woman. Maybe at a different life I will, but a different lifetime. But in addition to the 9 months, then the baby is born, and then women go through bringing this baby up, and that's an incredible connection. And I see business to be no different than that.
Yeah. I think also, there's a shift happening, an evolutionary shift. And I think not that men or women are any better. They just have a different set of skills. And as men are, from biologically, chemically designed to be straight, that kill the deer, straight line, testosterone.
Yeah. Let's fix the problem, whatever the problem is, and if there isn't one, we'll create one.
Right, and push boundaries, innovate, push boundaries. That's what men do. Women, because we're diffused awareness, it's that sense of when we walk in a room, a man can walk over a pair of socks and not even see them because of that straight line, singular focus. But when a woman walks in the room, the entire environment talks to us. So while that's a burden, it's also a responsibility, because we tend to live holistically. So from a business standpoint, which is part of the shift, women guide business from that interconnectedness, not from the straight line. And I think it's where we've done ourselves a disservice, and I'm going to be the poster child of the disservice, is that we think we're having to build business like men, because that was the paradigm that was shown us. Attack, accomplish, and if you were like me, an athlete, as an athlete, you're used to working, your body off to accomplish. And I really want to offer up a new way of, when I say a new paradigm, a new way of showing up in the world. I do believe that is the role of the feminine leadership. Yeah,
and I think there's a way to marry both of it.
Absolutely, and it's important.
And have it actually be a huge win.
Absolutely.
And what I'm curious about is obviously, who you are being today, and I didn't know you before you went through this transformation. So I'm curious, how is your life different the way it used to be and then the way it is today?
It's a trillion times different. Now, mind you, my native being, my way of showing up in the world, my positivity, my making the cashier smile and laugh at the grocery store, that's always been the same. But the way, it's like my lens, my filter is changed. I don't wake up thinking, what do I have to do today? I would wake up and in a sense be overwhelmed by how much I had to do, but still would do it. I wake up now, and the first and foremost thing, I wake up and I think, what do I need to do right now for my well-being? What do I have to do right now for my happiness? And then everything else is extra. Not even second, it's extra.
And in a way, kind of lines up, doesn't it?
And you know, it's a spiritual practice, so
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a recovering triple type A plus, is that I can find my pattern because it was, you know, either nurtured or something in me, or I brought it from past lives. I constantly have to check myself, and anytime I start to feel that familiar, like, oh, my stress, I realize that, oh my God, stop. What do you need right now for your well-being?
Wow.
What do
So
you
you're
need for
managing.
your happiness?
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that you're managing, you know, who you are being on an ongoing basis.
Ongoing basis, as
which
a
is
woman.
awesome.
As
Yeah.
a woman, because I realize the entire environment takes its cue off of me. That's my primary job.
Yeah. So our theme of the show is how to live life on full. And what's interesting about this, and this is on your website, I always go to my guests' website and get the essence of who they are. And what's interesting about that is that I'm finding that a lot of people are living life on empty.
Absolutely.
And what do you think it takes for people to recognize that whatever it is that they're running towards is killing them because it's making people sick? Whatever it is that they're looking for is actually not out there. It's within themselves.
And that's the exciting thing that's changing right now. You know, in this shift that we're remembering the truth of who we really are and why we're really here to live. You know, why are we here in this experience? Right?
What a great time to I feel so. I don't even have the word. I feel. I mean, I'm having goosebumps right now, which I have a lot on shows, but I'm having it right now. I feel so fortunate that I'm living in this time that I can actually witness this, watch it, and have it unfold right in front of my eyes. It's just outrageous.
I agree. I have the same goosebumps. I also believe that as we usher forth and actually make the shifts ourselves, that as a vibration, we are basically holding the door for other people to shift as well. And that's why I return to media, entertainment, because I see it as an amplifier of that vibration. And I have to make sure that I'm constantly doing the work myself, because it you know, gone are the days where you could have those speakers or those gurus that would speak one thing and privately be something else. Because
people are too smart.
And they're some part of their brain.
Not just too smart, but people are tuned into the energy, and they can tell when somebody is for real and when somebody is just pretending.
Absolutely. There's a BS meter going on somewhere. We can, and we don't even have the words for it, but we can perceive it. And I'd love somebody to tell me what part of the body that's growing. Somebody yelled out at one talk I was doing, it's the amygdala. But yeah, I think that whole notion of running on empty. I actually have a talk that I do called Running on Empty. You can't get there if you're dead. I do think, and you hit upon it, it's that sense that what you're trying to get to is not anywhere but here. And it's not even, and this was a big one for me, because I don't know, I was born with this desire to fix the planet. You know, this desire that I'm like, I'm going to push up my sleeves.
Me too, and guess what? I gave it up, and I just said, you know, let's just fix me. That's
totally
good enough.
Right?
That's just good enough for me.
Right?
And let's be an example, and let's be a leader by example.
That's it. That's the way we do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be so much happier in it. So it's the sense of, it's not even connected to what we do. It's how we're choosing to live.
Yes.
And that's
beautiful.
When you make that choice, you'll still get there, but you realize that there is here just a few steps later. You know, like you're carrying here, there, and so actually, basically, you lose the T.
Yeah. This is, I mean, this is, and for some people, this may sound really complicated, but it's not. It's actually, my life is becoming more and more and more simple. As I go through, and I'm sure you're having the same experience, because I have this dialogue with a lot of people, and we are so much alike, it's not even funny. I mean, I can speak to people like you, and I'm speaking with you right now, and I feel like I've known you all my life.
I do too. Isn't that
because
amazing?
the similarities. This is not like, you know, hey, Kim is just a completely foreign human being. I have no idea what I'm going to talk to her about, but you know, I do know what I'm going to talk to you about because you're just like a female version of me.
Let me get my glasses.
No, you know, I don't know if I'm describing this. I mean, this is a challenge that I'm having these days, and you appreciate this because you know how to use language and you know how to use words. But I was born in a different country, and English is something I had to learn, which is obviously not a problem. I learned it. But here's the thing. The challenges I'm having these days is that I am not able to find the words because there are no words for the experiences that I'm having and what I would like to explain to the viewers because the words don't exist.
Yeah, I think the words are limited in what's happening. However, my job is to usher forth that experience faster. So I am a communicator. Even, you're going to love this, years ago, I was a mime.
That's great.
And
That's
so
fantastic.
I learned to put people in this emotional, vibrational experience. So
Yes.
I hear you, yes. I have a grasp of words as a writer and a comedian and stuff like that. I've developed that. But I know what you're talking about to express. You know, I'm wondering, and let me ask you a question. Do you think that we'll get to a time where all we have to do is hold that experience and people will pick it up?
Yes, yes. And what I'm kind of experimenting with is to try alternate methods of communicating other than just words. And I know that there are a lot of people that believe that, you know, our life exists in communication and language, but I must say for my own experience that, and I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that because I'm not. I'm being really serious about this. Is that language is not enough for me anymore. So I'm toying with ideas of how do we subliminally can communicate, because I know that I have done it before. I have communicated with energy to someone to call me, and the next thing I know, the phone rings and that person is on the phone.
You'll laugh at this. You'll laugh at this. You're gonna laugh. We maybe are the same person. I have one of my talks called "The Lost Art of Being Human," and in it I talk about my experience when I was younger. I had a really bad speech impediment, and I also didn't start talking till I was 4. I was almost deaf. I couldn't really make that connection. Yet I would literally bring everything that I needed to communicate to my family around me to the center of my forehead, and I would shoot it out like laser beams. Like I would literally, like, is there anybody else talking to me? Like I would literally, like, you know, and I hadn't seen Star Trek at that time.
Wow.
When I was little.
Awesome.
So I know what you're talking about, that I do believe that we will remember that ability to communicate with just thought.
Just thought and energy and
energy and heart.
Being on the same frequency with other people. And here's the thing, you're going to find this funny, is that I had a similar experience when I was a kid because I grew up in a communist country. And I became very rebellious, you know, against communism. And back then, I didn't have the skills that I have today. So, you know, I declared war, you know, against communism, and that's something I don't believe in anymore. We shouldn't declare war on anything because it doesn't work.
It just feeds it. It just feeds it.
Yeah, it just feeds it more. But I didn't know. I didn't know that I didn't know. So what ended up happening is they beat me up all the time for speaking. Now, for speaking up, for putting my hand up and actually telling the truth. So here you go. Here you got a 19-year-old that escapes from Hungary, communist Hungary, and I come to this country, and in my career, I get to the point where I need to speak in front of people, and I can't, because what comes up for me is if I speak, I'm going to be beaten.
Yeah. No.
And so my whole life is been about, well, one of the things that it's been about is to master that. And
Yeah.
look at me. I don't care how many people I have to speak in front of. I don't care anymore because I don't even think about that. It's
Yeah,
like
but you are behind a camera.
it's like driving a car. It's like I don't care about that anymore. It's I'm having a conversation. I'm being with you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. My whole life has been wanting to reach people and communicate and remind people of how amazing it is to be alive.
Yeah, me too. And as you probably know, Kim, that our entire network is about consciousness and how to, how to help people to be on their journey, how to, how to grow, how to, what to do, what are the practices that people can put in place so that they start continue to develop their frontal lobe and they stop giving all the control over to their reptilian brain. So how do you work with your own consciousness? How do you grow?
Wow, that's a great question. It's interesting. Even calling it consciousness puts it in a different kind of intellectual basket. I know years ago when I had a previous career as a speaker, and I worked on brand development because I was also an art director, and I helped entrepreneurs develop their brands. And there was this very spiritual science behind the work we did. We called it unified conscious development. So it was really there was an actual science and a process to operate in that alignment. And we had done this thing. I was really speaking out against all of the marketers that started using the word conscious. They jumped on that conscious bandwagon, and at the time I don't think people that BS meter was on full, so they would hear the word conscious. They would it was kind of that extension of the cultural creatives or LOHAS, but then these people then grabbed the word conscious. So to me, we tried to market from the word conscious, and it just put it in a very intellectual basis. So for me, how do I work on my consciousness? Again, it comes back to being aware of my patterns. I connect to spirit always. I live in that space. Oh, you know what? One thing that I did do that was a really big difference for me, I was a person always connected to spirit, always connected to source, but I left my body to do it. So I would literally, whenever I would go to source or connection, I would literally throw myself out there going, "Are you out there?" And so a switch for me was bringing it here. Does that make sense? So I'd say that's how I work on my consciousness, is making sure that I'm not throwing a hope out there. It's here.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So for us on this network, consciousness is not just a concept. It's something that we practice constantly, and how we practice it right now is that I learned, and I'm teaching other people how to do this, I learned to take the conversation inside of my head and completely make it quiet. So right now, I don't have all this stuff going on in my mind, which people wonder, how the heck do you do that? But I really don't. The only thing that's happening right now is I am being with you. And I am listening to you, I am speaking with you, and when I'm listening to you, so the bottom line is I'm in the present moment. I'm not creating our show or our conversation from the past or from the future. I am right here with you.
Right.
This is a practice. This is
I've always kind of been that way. I think I take that for granted. People, like even as an interviewer and stuff like that myself, people would always respond like, "Wow, there's just something about you that made me feel better or bigger or potential." And I was like, it was only because I was present.
Right. And then I think what gets interesting for me is that then the task is, and you talked about this earlier, is the managing of the self, is that I'm connected to my higher self, I'm connected to source, and then I get disconnected for whatever reason.
Right.
And then my job is to see if I can recognize that I'm disconnected.
Yeah.
And then when I'm disconnected, how do I get back? How do I get connected back in? And how long is it going to take me?
Right.
So,
I'd say for me, when I'm with people, I'm 1,000,000,000% in the moment present, because I'm one of those people that get fed, you know, in the connection. I kind of live in that empathetic layer. However, when I get off, disconnected from consciousness, it's my own, when I'm by myself, like trying to get there. It's coming back to there.
So Kim, I'm curious, what happens when somebody activates you, or you get activated by something that they do or say?
Let me think. I gotta think of my husband.
That's what relationships are for.
I just go, okay, I'm gonna get your answer quick. Let's see what it does, because I'm more empathetic, and because I had run myself so low on cortisol, and you know, had PTSD because of being so empathetic, that the first thing I get frazzled, in that sense of it's too much, I close down. And so that's the thing. So when somebody challenges me or kind of pushes that energy, I have to realize that all of a sudden I'm retracting.
You shut down.
I shut down. I pull in, because it's literally too much for my senses.
Mm-hmm. And what are you? Do you think that's a good thing?
I think no. I don't think it's a good thing. I mean,
it's a protection.
It's a protection, and I think that I allowed that pattern to develop because I was living on empty, because I was doing for everybody else, and so by waking up every day about my well-being and my happiness and allowing that to fill me and kind of overflow, that helps me not be so frazzled. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a great, that book, The Science of Getting Rich.
Yeah.
You know, when he talks about, I think it was the 5th principle, when he talks about a species grows from the overflow. And so to me, and I can't 100% there yet, because this sense of living from a different place of happiness it's probably about 3 or 4 months. I could say that I'm still a student driver.
Wow.
However, but I can say that the more and more I live from that place, the less and less I get frazzled.
You're still with training wheels?
Yeah. Absolutely. But I can say that the moment that I do start to get that, it's too much, I realized that I had gotten disconnected from the overflow, but that feeling of allowing myself to fill up, living life on full, living on that fullness of that joy and well-being. Then when you're filled up with that, you don't get as rattled as much.
Yeah.
But I've lived more of my life empty. Like a light being, but empty.
Yeah, interesting. So our whole purpose really on the network is to have people driven inside of themselves and find that thing, that whatever that thing is that makes their heart sing. That's really what we're about. Because, coming from my own experience, finding my passion, and I know this is true for you, finding my passion is basically what transformed me. Mm-hmm. Because now I have a way to screen out all the baloney, all the BS, all the busyness, all the stuff that's coming to the world, and I only really say yes to the things that support who I am and what I'm about.
So what's your passion?
My passion is what we're doing right now.
Oh, great. I'm honored to dance with you on your passion.
Yeah. is to have conversations like this and to touch, move, and inspire people to really stop looking outside of themselves for what they came here to do.
Yeah.
And
I'd say mine has always been is to help help people enjoy life, like truly enjoy being alive and be the fullest that they can be. It always has been. And laughter for me is the way to get there.
Yeah, so listen, yeah, me too. I laugh a lot, we probably noticed. So this is how simple it got for me, and I don't know how this happened, it just happened. Is that how I live my life now is that if it feels good, I do it. If it doesn't, I don't.
That sounds like a t-shirt. And I'm sure somebody trademarked that.
And I trust it because it works.
Yep. I live, and it's going to sound really strange, but I'm learning to live to be self-centered, and that sounds like it's given such a bad connotation, but to really live from that self-center, that place of self-centered, and I mean
that's awesome, and that's really where I wanted to go next, which is 2 years ago. I had an epiphany, and the epiphany was, until that point, my priority was quote-unquote consciousness, and there was nothing more important than consciousness. And then what happened is I changed my mind, like women do. And what I changed it to is there's nothing more important than health and my wellness.
Absolutely. Do you think that's because we're getting older? Like I hate to think that we got to that place where they go, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. It's like, no, I don't think it feels like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like that. It's what it feels like is that I'm not committed to being the conversation that as we age, like we're supposed to only live for 80 or 100 years. I'm not in the conversation at all because I feel we can live for as long as we feel like we want to live. And I think that's been proven in thousands of years ago. There's been some proof that human beings have lived for hundreds of years, and I think this is just a collective conversation that people want to retire, and then as soon as they retire, they're already almost 3 foot under.
Yeah.
And it just goes downhill from there.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've always had this. The whole thing that I'm this thing that Kim TV is. I have another series called Aging Ungracefully, and really about. Yeah, no, I'm the poster child of aging ungracefully.
And what's that naked? What's that naked thing?
And Naked Kim, and I have 3 shows. So. Naked Kim.
I almost subscribed.
I know. Hey, do I know brand development or what? I know what sells.
I said she's not gonna get naked. Oh, come on.
I do. I'm very naked. I know what works. So aging ungracefully is really looking at how we as a species are aging ungracefully, and it's from the perspective of a generation that said we're never going to get old. We've said we're not going to be like our parents, and we worked our asses off to get someplace that we weren't going to be like, or we weren't going to be disassociated. We weren't going to be in pain like our parents were, and we paid no mind to this vessel that we have. So aging ungracefully is the journey that I woke up one day and went, I don't want my life anymore. What's wrong with me? And you go on this journey to find out, how age happened and how I got old and how the hormones and out of balance, and you find basically you go on the journey of how I got back to me, and then it's an ongoing journey of how do we live optimally. But what does that really look like? Naked Kim is a behind-the-scenes look at everything that I'm doing to build a brand in this new age of beyond the brand, using media, using YouTube, thinking in that show development way of how do you tell stories and put people in experience and bring products into the marketplace, and actually, I basically, from the Naked standpoint, I share everything. I don't. It's unedited, so they see my breakdowns. They see me signing contracts and having brand deals.
Like a reality show.
It's a reality show, and you know, for me, the naked is there's no spin, there's no editing, and sometimes there's no makeup. And for a woman, that's very naked.
Yeah, I know. I have the good fortune to do a lot of technology checks in the mornings, and I have a lot of female guests, and I get to see them with sometimes very little clothes, and sometimes, well, most of the time with no makeup. So
yeah. So to me, that's more naked than anything. You know, being raw and open and vulnerable. Yeah. I mean, there were times that I've shared a naked Kim, like literally breaking down, going, who the hell do I think that I am to be able to build a new brand, a mass market brand at my age? You know, literally facing those own inner demons that either were mine or that I inherited from a generation or, you know, from the culture, and you know, walk through them. Yeah,
so that's very creative, by the way. So I just want to acknowledge you for doing that, because I think that's hugely needed out there. To, you know, you're being real, really, and you're sharing yourself, and that's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I just want to, in comparison, I just want to say, like Oprah. I mean, I always liked her. It's just she never got real. I mean, she could get very real with guests, and she was a very. I mean, she still is a very good interviewer, but she can definitely put a guest into uncomfortable situations and make them cry and do whatever and get them emotional. But she would never do it for herself.
You know, I think what was brilliant about Oprah was she didn't come at her work as an expert, and she didn't come to it from a place of separation. I'm better, I'm here. I mean, you think of it from an energy standpoint. She came like this: I am you. I'm on the same journey as you, and I'm going to surround myself with experts. And that was her beauty. That's what people related to her as. And I think at some place,
but I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, because what I've got is that Oprah is a personality. And
she is now.
Nobody really knows who she is. Like, what is she really like?
She doesn't even know anymore.
She doesn't even know it. That's the answer.
But I think what got her to that place was that sense of, I'm on this search, just like you, and it switched. And I don't know if it switched when she hit $1 billion. I don't know when it switched when she got King World involved. I don't know, but I think
it took her 20 years, and now she's starting to open up.
Yeah, I think she's amazing. I think, you know, she ushered in a new way of television and a new conversation. So I'm just going to pick up the ball where she left off.
I think she's being hugely missed on commercial television.
Yeah, I hope to fill that gap.
I feel great. I feel that whatever she did was a mistake.
Yeah,
she never should have done it.
Yeah.
So a lot of money, and all of a sudden nobody knows where the heck she is.
Yep, I'll fill the gap. You'll see.
Okay, great. Hopefully you interview me then.
I will be glad to. We're the same.
Okay, great. So I wanted to ask you, because I've seen some of your videos about food, and it's a big deal with me, and it's been a big deal with me for the last couple of years, and I feel that our food supply is nutritionally bankrupt. And so what are you doing on your shows to help people to eat as healthy as possible?
I have a very interesting experience with food. I never really liked it. Not that I had an eating issue. But it was I was a little girl, I'd walk around with a divider plate because I didn't want the food to touch, the juices to touch. And in a sense, when I look back, it was kind of my way of controlling my world because I couldn't control the crazy around me. So I grew up with, give me a bar, a pill, or a shake kind of thing. Yet my eyes would light up around sweets and treats.
Oh, sugar.
And just what it looked like. And it was like, to me, it was always like a party. There's a party in that pie. You know, and it wasn't until a few years ago I was in the movie theater, and I was watching that movie, Julia and Julie. Remember, with Meryl Streep playing Julia Childs. And I'm watching this movie, and all of a sudden I'm sobbing. And I'm like sobbing at the end of the theater, and I'm looking around to see if anybody else is like sobbing with me, and I realize nobody else is crying. It's our comedy. And I got home, and I'm walking down my bookshelf, and I noticed that there was an entire 2 shelves of cookbooks and like recipes and things torn out of magazines, and I went, who put that there? And and in that moment, I became what I call a born-again foodie. That I discovered this incredible essence of food in terms of its importance in our sense of being alive. So my approach to food is, one, we have to realize that we eat for the wrong reasons. We think we eat because we're hungry. No, we eat because our body needs fuel. So first and foremost, if we put that filter on and go, okay, I eat, you just approach eating from a sense of responsibility for this thing that we've been gifted. Second is that it should be, in a sense, orgasmic, that we should enjoy it. That's
one of your favorite words, I noticed. I was waiting on the show when it's going to come up, because I was checking your website out and I heard it at least 2 or 3 times, and I'm going like,
yeah,
that's interesting.
I think we should be orgasmic. So yes, I agree that unfortunately in this time in our planet that there's hardly any nutrition left in terms of the soil and how things are manufactured. But I think
design.
I think yeah, we could live in that, just like you were kind of a no communism. We can live in that place, and there's certainly people that there's role in life to say, hey, let's remember global warming. Let's remember how do we put back, feed the mushrooms, the fungi, so that we actually have more soil, healthy soil. I can't do everything. So I realized that, okay, the part that I can do is remind people why we eat and to do it healthily. So I talk about gluten-free, sugar-free, and the effect of food on the quality of our life. I'll approach it from that end. I hope and pray that somebody is doing the other end. Yeah. So I share recipes. Like, so on Kim TV, I have recipes for a 60-second chocolate cake, a salted caramel pumpkin cheesecake, blondies, things like that, and it's all healthy. It all, when you eat it, not only are you orgasmic, you actually feel good eating it. And so that's my approach to food.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm also very curious about what do you feel women's role are in technology? That's a subject that's really near to my heart.
Mm-hmm. We are the stewards of it. Going back to the conversation that we had earlier in terms of, men, because of testosterone, because of the straight line, because of they kill the deer, ability. I believe that, and mind you, I'm not going to make this gross classification, men versus women, because there's certainly women that have more testosterone, more chemicals that allow them to be more like that. So it's not just a sex thing, it's more of a mental sex or more of a chemical sex, right? But in general, men, I believe, push boundaries for technology. But when it's done, they don't have biology that makes them care about what it does or its effect on things. So women's role in technology is just be the stewards of it, to know, to connect it to other people, to realize that it has an impact on each other and the world around us. So we're the stewards of technology.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you then, I like to go out to eat a lot. It's one of my hobbies, and I like to experience different kinds of food, like Brazilian food from Cuba, and the list goes on. And I'm noticing that in a lot of these restaurants, people are with their smartphones, and even when they're with other people, including groups of people, they're not talking to each other. They're messing with their phones.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
You know, it is interesting. I actually opened that talk with The Lost Art of Being Human about a story where I started to notice, and I'd play a little game. I started to notice that everybody's like on their phones and their smart devices, and in my mind, because I do live at that empathetic level, I'm craving the connection. I'm constantly sending out that beacon, right? I would pretend that I'd see one person on a cell phone and somebody next to them. In my mind, I'd pretend that they were talking to each other. I think, you know, I think that what's happening is think about the Matrix or Skynet or anything like that. I think, remember from Terminator, I think that this technology and social media gives us this guise of being connected, that we have all of these people connected, right? But it's very surface.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually making us lonelier and sicker, you know, like mentally and emotionally bankrupt in a sense.
It's actually doing the other. It's disconnecting us.
But I don't think it has to. I think there's a part of it. I remember several years ago telling the director, our director of IT, this was probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I said, isn't it, sometimes these things will blurb out of my mouth, like I have no proof, it just goes, right. I said, isn't it amazing how technology is echoing or paralleling our spiritual evolution? And he looked at me, and I said, don't you see it's actually coming here to serve us, unless we're serving it?
Yeah, let me run something by you. So what I think is happening is that these are the unintended consequences of technology, and the way it's showing up is just mirroring back to us what happens when you give the masses tools, and I'm talking about masses that are still largely using their reptilian brain to live moment to moment. What happens when you give them advanced technology? It's just, to me, it's just amazing, and it doesn't surprise me at all.
So I'm going to disagree with you.
Go ahead.
I say I agree that that's what's happening, but I don't think it's the masses issue. I think it's people behind it without stewards, without saying, because I do believe that it's an amplification. Just like social media, TV, it's all an amplifier of connection and communication. I believe that, and it's our ability to fill it and bring life to it, but I think it takes effort. You know, it's one thing to just text a couple things or to share a video, but it's another thing to kind of bring what I call the tingle to it. And have you noticed that there are certain people, when they text you, or you see their post on Facebook or something, that you actually get a tingle? It's rare, but there's those people that when you think of that person, you immediately tingle. That's what's missing.
I don't know about that, because I am no longer a fan of social media.
Gotcha.
It just doesn't turn me on. It actually turns me off. And
alienating.
Yeah, it's just not for me. You know, I can probably explain to you why, but let's not waste the show on
No, I hear you, and I hear what the problems are. I think that there's a way that we can bring it to light, and bring it to tingle.
Well, I think, yeah, maybe. But I think we, see, I've done some shows on artificial intelligence and on UFOs, and it's a subject matter that really interests me. And I have some data and some information about what Google is up to, and I'm sure you know who they are. And
I do know Google, but I don't know what they're up to.
Most people think that who they are is a search engine, and and that's just a cover. They are very much into artificial intelligence and building.
They're into owning the world
and creating beings that are going to be just like us. And guess where the data is coming from to feed those beings?
It's Terminator.
Yeah. And what's really cool is when I was a young kid, for about a year, I was absolutely passionate about being concerned about robots and that could be the end of our civilization. And if I could tell you, well, I can tell you, I'm 60 years old right now. So when I was a little kid, that was a long time ago, and computers weren't around back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where the heck that came from. Not that it matters.
I Am Legend, like that. Remember that Will Smith I Am Legend, right? Yep.
But it's just what it's connecting me to is like that I had that information and it didn't come from me. It came from somewhere.
Yep.
Somewhere out there. It lasted a year and then it was over.
So I think that's there. I think that's definitely on the pike. I mean, you see movies like that, which inspired which, you know, when the movie has with somebody's imagination and then it becomes a seed in the consciousness to create, who knows? But I think if we live fully and live from a place of remembering what it really means to be alive, we will rule.
So since Kim says so much into Hollywood, I want to ask you, how come that Hollywood seems to have their finger on technology and on subject matter that's really very futuristic? How come that they have that?
Oh, we always have. We think way back when Hollywood was first began.
It's been around for a long
Metropolis, back in the what is it, 1910 or something?
Who are
like
these
that?
people?
I think that technology, Hollywood is like that because we're storytellers and we're dreamers, and you know, we have an imagination. I think that that's where it comes from. You know, you look at movies like Logan's Run back in the 70s or Gattaca in the 90s. There's always that futuristic, you know, view of possibility, or either in a great sense or a negative sense. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm.
Okay.
It's my camera is doing something funky.
Oh, okay. So I think that's. You mean to hold?
No, it's fine.
Okay. I think that that's where Hollywood is communicate now. Is there communicators and storytellers and put people into experience, and they tell stories that they think people want to know, and we want to know about life on another planet or life in 150 years from now and things like that. Now, in terms of having its hand truly on technology, I don't think it does. I think in imagination it does, but I think digital, the world of digital, like a show like this or YouTube, actually is causing traditional Hollywood to like be very, very scared. Like, we don't get it. We don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Kim, I get it. So this business really taught me to be very, very patient with people because, yeah, actually my assistant tells me my cam is still messing up. So let me see if I can fix it.
Okay.
I don't know what the deal is, but we're not going to worry about it. It either works or it doesn't. So it's funny that this is happening as we're talking about technology.
Technology. The Matrix is like doesn't like you saying bad things about it.
These kind of things are happening to me all the time, and I don't have a real explanation for it. But I mean, once I started the show, one of our show that's been around for 3 years, it's Living Consciously TV. And what was interesting is I was having this conversation about dying, and as soon as I started the conversation, everything went bye-bye.
And you came back?
Well, 10 minutes later, I figured out how to come back, but...
So it's just a little vacation.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that, we have thousands of guests on our network, and people still don't know today, we're in the 21st century, how to turn on their mics and how to turn on their webcams. To me, that's very interesting because, and you know the number one excuse I hear is, I am not comfortable, and this is coming from a lot of women, I'm not comfortable with technology. I'm afraid of technology. Those are the comments I get. And then you know what I tell them? What? Well, I don't understand because, you as a human being is the most sophisticated computer on this planet.
Yeah, people don't understand this as the best technology there is. This is the technology, 100%.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Human technology, absolutely. It's the more powerful technology. And to add on what you said, no matter what, it'll always be the most powerful technology.
yeah, we still don't know how it works
No.
after thousands of years.
No, I'm amazed. I did on Kim TV. I did this all month. I've been featuring the subject of hormones, and you know we've heard hormones. I did this. I did this interview in Santa Monica, California, and I went around and interviewed people on what hormones were and what they did, and it was shocking and hilarious what their answers were, and something that we hear. And we don't even perceive what they truly do. There is so much to this technology that is so amazing.
Absolutely. And I'm reminded not to take it for granted because it's just amazing. I mean, just the fact that we can have this conversation, it's like mountains are being moved. Literally. And it seems so simple, but really, I mean, just what happens in our body and your body right now to make this happen is unbelievable.
I wake up in like it's Christmas every day. Like, this is amazing. And this is coming from a woman who beat the crap out of herself. Or, like, I'd wake up and I would, like, time to do the stairs, or I'd, like, my butt's too big, or whatever it is. I've got to work out really hard or harder. Like, I was such a bully. Bam, 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 bam. Not anymore. I wake up and I, like, in yoga, I hug myself and I'm, like, laughing and giddy. People look at me like, who is this woman, like making love to herself?
Well, you have such a great personality, so I also would like to just give you a few minutes to tell our viewers where would you like to send them, what website, what you have going on that you would like to have them participate in this type of thing.
Sure. I would say the best way to stay in touch with how I'm building the brand and what I'm really growing into on the planet is Kim TV, and that's at kimcastle.tv. That is the YouTube channel, and that's the hub of everything that I'm communicating and sharing and bringing forth. And while things may come off of YouTube into, like, Aging Ungracefully is a series that's going to live off of YouTube, it really is the best way to get a taste of my sense of humor and information and entertainment. I'd say that's one of the best ways to learn and laugh and be together. And then also Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Kim Castle, but Castle like a queen lives in. But I would say that, yeah, the YouTube, kimcastle.tv.
Is that your real name, or is the brand?
I know. It's like, it just sounds too Cecil DeMille, right? No, it's my real name. It's my real name.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm all real. Haven't you noticed?
Yes, I have. I couldn't possibly miss it. I mean, you have, like I said, I want to acknowledge you for being who you are. I mean, you are very vibrant, and you have tons of energy, positive energy, and you feel good. I mean, I feel like I'm in the presence of a very soft. You know, when you go to some of those really good hotels, and you get in bed, and you don't want to get out because it's so soft and it's so fluffy. Well, that's how you make me feel.
She's naked and I'm fluffy.
Fluffy and good, you know?
She's naked, fluffy, and tingly.
Yeah, and invite people to sign up for that membership, the Naked Kim. Who knows?
Naked Kim, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, if you know, I think in the back of our heads, so many of us as children or young adults had the idea of wanting to be on TV or wanting to be on stage or had a message and wanted to perform, and yet we pushed that aside and did what we thought we needed to do. And I think in this day and age with YouTube and the ability to do a show like yours, and by the way, I want to recognize you for having had the vision 10 years ago or more to create this.
Nobody even knew what internet TV was.
No, that you were like a media
entrepreneur
10 years ago that went, I'm going to have the power myself to create. I think that that's this amazing age that we live in, and with Naked Kim, and they can find that at nakedkim.com. Believe it or not, I was able to get that URL. I thought surely Vivid TV had it or something. Yeah, nakedkim.com if you want to go on the journey of what it's like to build a brand using entertainment and digital media today. Yeah, you can do that as well.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for being on the network. I really loved being with you, and again, just another proof again that our shows are not an hour, they're just a conscious 5 minutes is all. And
think of me as that chocolate on your pillow.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's been great having you, and for everybody else out there, if Kim said anything, or I said anything, or did anything that touched, moved, and inspired you, please go to consciousevolutionmedia.com and just start getting engaging with us and watch our shows. We have almost 1,500 of them up on YouTube. And the more you watch them, the more the possibility that they end up every month in the top 10. If they do end up in the top 10, we'll take them to public television PBS. So that's all I have to say. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. It's a holiday. It's a 3-day holiday, so enjoy. Take care of yourselves, like Kim said. We're more important personally than anything else. If we can't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else, can we?
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.